What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Good Wolf Project. I'm your host, Jerry Scarlato, and today I want to talk to you about misery. More importantly, I want to talk to you about why you should be uncomfortable being miserable, which seems like the way that it should be. But most people are comfortable with their misery, and most people are comfortable in their unhappiness, and then in their unhealthiness, and in their unfitness. So, this topic came about because I was having a conversation with somebody at the gym, and they were talking about how they were having trouble making some changes. It's not unusual to have trouble making changes. If you've ever tried a diet or exercise program or any type of self-development, you know that it can be tough to stick to, tough to improve yourself, tough to keep going. Of course, it's a challenge. Otherwise, everybody would do it. Now, the irony is once you kind of get going and once you get in the groove and once you build it into your life, then it becomes easier. Never becomes easy. It just becomes easier. But to go back to misery, I keep wanting to say miserable or something, I don't know. But to go back to misery, people are happy in their misery and in their unhappiness, which seems completely contradictory because most people want something better. Most people want to improve. And yet, the vast majority of people don't. The vast majority of the masses don't make anything of themselves, both in their health or their fitness or their careers or their finances or many other areas of their life. They're happy being the way that they are. They're happy with the uncomfortableness of their life. They're comfortable with their uncomfortableness of their life. So, why is it that we are unhappy and yet we won't make the change? Now, when I say unhappy, I don't mean that in every area of life that people are unhappy or that you're unhappy. What I mean is that there is some area that you want to improve on. There's some area that you want to elevate yourself on, that you want to bring yourself up, that you want to be the exception and not the rule, something that I talked about previously. There's some area of your life. And yet, many people don't take the steps necessary to see that through, to see that come to fruition, to get to a point where they are better than where they currently are. How does that happen? How is that gap there? That space where we know where we want to go, but we'd rather stay where we are. We know that there's something better on the other side of the rainbow, on the other side of the inverted U, like I talked about when I talked about being the exception and not the rule. When you get to the other side, you have made the jump to exception. You have made the jump to exceptional in that area. But why the gap? Why the space between even starting and trying to improve versus staying where you are in an unhappy state, an unhealthy state, an unfit state, a miserable state, whatever you want to define it as? Why the gap? The overarching reason, the surface level reason, is because so many people have tried to do something better, tried to improve their life, tried to improve their health, and have quit enough times to convince themselves that they're not capable of doing it, that they're not worthy of doing it, that it's just not in their genes, or it's just not in their age, or it's just not in their personality to keep going and actually see something through, actually see success through. That's what happens on the surface level, is that we just have failed so many times. Failed, I'll put those in quotes. You only fail once you ultimately give up. But you have failed so many times that you just convince yourself that You can't do it. And therefore, you accept your misery. You accept your unhealthiness. You accept the unhappiness that you feel, the unfulfilled part. You just assume that that's the way that it is, and you assume that that's the case because of whatever fault that you have as a human being. Now, of course, none of that is true. You are not a faulty, well, all human beings are faulty. I'll give you that much. But all human beings are faulty. The ones that are on the other side of the hump and have leveled up to the top 1%, and the ones that are at the very bottom, all are faulty. The question is, why did the ones at the top push? Why did the ones at the top push through and keep going and find a way to push themselves forward? Now, on the surface level, that's what it is. It's because we have failed too many times. But the truth of the matter is, what's keeping us from actually following through with our word, following through with the success, following through with the things that we say we want to do, what is actually keeping us and sabotaging us along the way, which we don't see, which is not as obvious. When I point that out to you, that people fail so often that they just end up quitting, that makes sense. You go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I can see that because it's not fun. It's not a fun feeling to fail. It's not a fun feeling to start something and for it to be hard and to have to overcome obstacles and to feel like you're not making progress. Not fun. Now, again, if you keep going long enough and you do it consistently enough and you put in enough effort, then it becomes easier. The steps are simple, but it becomes easier over time. But it's a not fun feeling. So you can get that. You understand, and it makes sense. But what's missing? What's missing is the actual comfort of being where you are versus the uncertainty of what's over there. The comfort of being where you are versus the uncertainty of what's over there. Even though what's over there might be the absolute epitome of success, whatever that looks like. It might be the completely fulfilled life, might be ultimate happiness, might be a six-pack with chiseled shoulders, whatever, like whatever the definition is in your head. But over here is where you are, and it's what you're trying to move away from, but you can't quite get yourself to nudge, you move that way, move toward that thing over there. And it's because of the uncertainty. You don't know what that actually is. You know what this is. You know what it's like to be in your body now. You know how it feels. You know the pains that you have when you wake up in the morning. You know the energy level that you have. You know the routine that you have. You know the medications you have to take. You know the things that go through your head. You know what you're going to do step by step. Like, you know how to be unhealthy or unfit or unfulfilled. You know how to live in that life. You are comfortable living in that life. Now, that's not to say that you're happy living in that life. Comfortable and happiness are two different things. If you're trying to improve it, that means you want something better. But subconsciously, when you're comfortable with something, that gravitation back toward that thing will automatically happen. And by automatically, I don't mean like inevitably, but until you push through the force field of the comfort, it will continue to happen. You'll get pulled back in that direction. You'll get pulled back to comfort instead of stepping forward into growth. I don't know why I had trouble with that word, but you'll step backward instead of stepping forward. You'll do that every time until you push through that force field, until you get away from the dark side and toward the light, until you get away from the dark side and toward the bright side of things, until you actually get to the other side of the continuum where your goal is actually visible and you can see it a little bit. You can actually see it over there. So until that happens, you'll have that pull. Like I said, it's like a gravitational pull back toward safety, back toward comfort. And again, it's not comfort in a happiness sense. It's comfort in a, you know what it feels like to be you right now. You are certain that this is, I know how this feels. I am not sure how it feels to be over there. I don't know. I can make a bunch of assumptions. It's going to be great. I'm going to have a six pack. I'm going to look good naked. All these things are going to be fantastic. I can make a bunch of assumptions about that, but I'm certain that in this moment, I know how I feel. I know how I feel. I know what to expect. And that's hard to overcome. And that's what we don't see. We don't see our subconscious minds pulling us back, gravitating us back to safety, back to comfort. Whenever we're trying to push through that force field, trying to get to the other side, trying to grasp out and reach that goal. That's what we don't see. We just assume something's wrong with us. Well, must be something wrong with me. Like I said in the beginning, the surface level thing is we fail enough times that we convince ourselves that we're not worthy, that we can't do it, that we're too old. That's not the case. It is your subconscious mind, the thing inside you that is you right now in this moment that's going, this dude's trying to be something different. That's not okay with me. I'm going to make sure your ass stays right here. And every time you try to do something different and you try to go walking toward that fancy, shiny thing over there that's better than what I am right now, I'm going to pull you right back because it does not feel good when you try and walk away from me. It feels good right here, right in my misery, right in this unhealthy, unfit body. That's where it feels good. And that's hard to overcome because there's a good chance you've lived many years that way. There's a good chance you've lived a long time that way. And you can use this idea for, I'm using it for health because the vast majority of people, at least in a westernized society, are overweight or obese. And so it's a perfect example, but you can use it for many different areas, not of why you're not moving toward a better version, the 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 higher level career, whatever it is that you're trying to do. So how do you start to close the gap then? If you have this force field around you, think of it as like a bubble. And every time you step and get close to the force field, you go back to the center of the force field. And then you try again, you go in a different direction. And then you hit the force field and then you come back to the center. So then how do you push through the force field? How do you push and actually get outside of it so that you can start to see the goal? You can see the thing that's there, that you're trying to get to, that there's a very damn good chance that you can get to it. But you got to push through that force field. How do you do that? The goal is to create certainty in your journey in some way. The question is, how do you create certainty along the journey? Because the scary part and the thing that's killing your subconscious is uncertainty. What's it like over there? What's it like over there? I don't really know. I don't know. I've never been there. Uncertainty. So how can you create certainty along the way, along the journey? Because if all you're doing is focusing on the outcome, focusing on the thing over there, that's very abstract to you because you've never touched it. You've never been there. You haven't achieved the goal. Otherwise, it wouldn't be your goal, right? So it's abstract, especially if it's a big goal, which you should have. You should have big, audacious goals that you're going after. But if that's your focus, that's very uncertain. That's very scary. And it's much more comfortable being miserable right where you are. So then creating some sort of certainty along the way so that you can go, okay, that's where I'm going, but I know that my certainty is right here. So where do you find that certainty? The certainty is found in the daily process, in the things that you do every single day to move toward that outcome. to move toward the thing that is over there that you're trying to get, that is outside of your force field. That's how you create certainty, because within that, you can control the things that you do every day to get over there. You can control the steps that you take, the process you go through every day to get over there, to get to that goal, to get to that outcome. You can control all of those steps every single day, and you can adjust them, and you can tweak them, and you can make a little change, and you can pivot a little bit. You can change a little bit of this, and you can change a little bit of that, and then you'll move a little closer. It's literally as simple as focusing on the day, and completing the things that you say you're going to do within the day to move to your goal. That's the secret of building certainty when you're moving towards something that's uncertain. Building certainty and comfort in a way when you're moving away from your current level of comfort. If you can get comfortable knowing, hey, I can knock these things out, I can knock this process out, which is going to move me closer to that goal, then you're moving away from that version of yourself that you're trying to overcome. Because you have to become a different person in order to achieve your goal. Who you are right now can't do it. Otherwise, you would have achieved it already. So as you become comfortable doing the process, changing the process over time, adapting it, changing it, so that you keep moving forward and keep making progress. As you do that, you become a different person. As you become a different person, you slowly move away from the person that was keeping you in the force field, that miserable person, that unhealthy person, that unfit person, that unfulfilled person that was keeping you in the full force field, keeping you still, keeping you from making progress. You slowly move away from that person and you inch toward the other side. You inch toward that goal. You inch toward that outcome. And it's a process. It is every day. That's what you do. Today, I wake up and this is my process. These are the things I'm going to complete to move forward. Don't worry about what you're going to do tomorrow or the next day or next week or next month or whatever. Don't worry about it. What happens when I go on vacation? What happens when I do this? What if this pops up? Oh, all of a sudden something happens. Schedules change. Okay, figure it out. If it happens, then figure it out. Don't worry about if it's going to happen. Just do it. Set it up. Set the process, choose the things you're going to do, complete those things every single day, do it moving forward. When you stop making progress, because eventually you will, because eventually the things will stop working, then change them a little bit, adapt, move forward, and complete that cycle. That's the cycle. That's what you have to do. And that will get you to the goal. Not just move you toward it. It'll do that too, but it'll get you to it. But you got to keep going. If you keep going, it gets you outside of that force field. You bust through that bubble and you can finally start to see it. And then you can grab it. Once you grab it and once you hang on, don't let go. Just keep going. You have to get to it. And then you can get to the next one. So make sure you take that and you implement that as soon as possible. The best time to change was yesterday. Next best time to change is today, in this very moment. This very moment, not on Monday, not at the beginning of next month, not at the beginning of next year. Next best time to change is today. Put that into practice. Focus on the daily process. Check those things off the list. Get them done every single day. Become the best version of yourself. You can do it. You just have to keep going. That's what I got for you today, friends. Good one. Make sure you share this with your friends. And until next time, go out there and win today.